situation like ARDS, which is a killer disease. Then we also heard the technical inflammatory cascade from Dr. Ashutosh Goyal, and I will not get into that because I think we need to understand inflammation, or a profound inflammation is the cause of complicating diabetes and is responsible for increase in mortality. And the last but not the least, I think the Dr. Joshi said there are 4 things which we need to understand when the COVID patients are hitting to the hospital, that whether they may have type 2 diabetes and they are also vulnerable, have COVID associated developing type 2 diabetes. Hypertension also leads to very poor prognosis, and something like pulse rate, respiratory rate, temperature need to be evaluated whether the patient has got mild, moderate or severe conditions. So that's the summing up of the session. I think it was very, very informative, both for medical fraternity and to the common people listening from the real scientific and thought leaders of the country. With this, I will request Dr. Abhijit to share something what is the technology with interventions coming up, or technology solutions which are coming to manage the severe diabetes or complicated diabetes or COVID associated diabetes.
And my pranams to everyone here today. Well, the biggest challenge after we look at heart disease as a chronic disease in India is definitely diabetes is one of the main challenges. And when we talk about these diseases, we're looking at close to 77 million Indian diabetics, and another 70 million who are either not diagnosed or in the pre-diabetic stage. So that's close to around 140 million Indians who are in this condition. Not only because of the condition, when we look at the comorbidities, because of poor glycemic control. And when we are saying anyone with a A1C of more than 7.5, they are at risk of having these complications. So now when you're dealing with this large challenge in a country which is starved of, we have good talent of doctors, but how do we enable these doctors, deliver care on a large scale? And when you're looking at a country with this population of 140 million and over 60 to 70 of them being poorly controlled, so all of them are going to end up either with a cardiac disease or kidney disease. And that is kind of more than around 200 million of Indian population. And each household will be dealing with something close to around 20 to 30,000 a month of costs when it comes to their care. How many Indians can afford this? And the whole challenge is getting things in control. So that is where the biggest challenge lies. When we treat diabetes, in the past, we used to just look at probably 3 points of data. When I say points of data, it is one fasting, one PP, and one HbA1c. What is happening in between the whole visit? So this person will come, whether it's they'll come once in 3 months, once in a year, and what is happening in between that year? They absolutely have no clue. Diabetes is so silent. All the complications are getting, the whole high glycemia is damaging the system. Having uncontrolled diabetes is again has to be monitored as well as has to be taken care of. And when we are treating these people in the clinic with these 4 points of data, we are making guessed assumptions about how to manage them. So that is where we are trying to get in technology to help us, manage the condition better. So we're using connected glucose monitors, whether it is your point of care testing or whether it is CGM. So by using these devices, which once the user is using them, directly the information goes to a system, which is again pulling in other forms of information, whether it is your vitals, whether it is your data coming from food. All of this comes together into one analytic system. In the analytic system, we have trained the system to pick out problem areas. So again, when you're dealing with 1,000 patients, most of the top treating doctors here present today will have a large volume of patients of which go into lakhs. How do you manage 1 lakh patients in one shot? So that is where systems like what we have built with 7 Sugar help you to make this condition.